Good morning, it's Dave at ATI Watch Reviews. Please smash that like button, please smash that subscribe button for more awesome watch content. Little wristwatch check. I've got my Pagani design 1718 Panda Chrono, absolute little cracker. Sapphire crystal, ceramic tachymeter with the VK64 Mecaquartz movement. And here we've got another Pagani watch, which is a very interesting addition to Pagani's offerings, because there is no other watch like this in their offering, because this is homaging a very unusual, I would say, or very unique watch made by a famous brand beginning with B, which I won't name here. But this watch, the watch this is homaging, has had a massive marketing campaign. I think it came out around 2 years ago, and it is definitely a looker. And this is a very decent attempt to homage that watch. This is the Pagani design PD-1705. As far as I'm aware, it's a brand new watch that's just been released by Pagani this year. It's 42mm, fully solid stainless steel bracelet, which is actually what's called a Rouleaux bracelet, which comes from French, meaning like rolls, basically. Or another word for it is the bullet bracelet. This is a chronograph. It's not a screw one though, it's just a pusher, with a stainless steel bezel, with a stainless steel polished bezel, the 3 subdials, 100-meter water resist, and the VK63 Mecaquartz movement, meaning it's got a quartz battery in there, but the chronograph runs on a mechanical system. I got it in the sunburst green. You can get it in like a peach, you can get it in a blue, you can get it in like a silver, and you can get it in a rubber band. And I am going to request that they send me a rubber band because I want to try it on that as well. Okay, let's start with the sizing. The sizing is good, although it is on the bigger size. The diameter, the bezel is 41.8, so call it 42. The lug to lug is 50. The thickness is about 13.7 to the top of that domed sapphire, and it is domed, unfortunately. It is domed. So, and the overall diameter is actually significantly more than 42 because this crown does stick out quite a bit. However, the bracelet goes a long way in making it feel it feels bigger than a 42mm watch. I would say this feels like a true 43mm watch personally. I think this feels like a 43 or 44. It feels bigger than a 42, definitely, and it's because of this case. The case is also quite thick. The actual supporting stainless steel part is thick, and the lugs are only very moderately curved. So I would say there's a big chunk of stainless steel there, which is why it's a quite heavy watch. It's about 160 to 170, I would guess. I think they're classing it. I've seen it stated wrong on multiple ones. I've seen one stated it was 190. It's not 190, I don't think. I've seen one stated at 160, and I've seen one stated at 175. I would guess it's about 170 grams. Now, the bracelet is 22mm tapering to 18mm. It has a significant taper, but it doesn't go too narrow, so this helps keep the watch lighter than it otherwise would be, and the style of the bracelet, these little bullets, make it feel lighter than it probably should be, if you will. I'm glad that I think the bracelet goes with, which we'll talk about later, but I think it goes with the head of the watch very well, even if I would argue it is a little bit top heavy a little bit. That's because of the thickness of the case and the thickness of the overall watch head, including crystal. It's a heavy head basically. So for sizing purposes, this definitely feels like a bigger than a 42mm watch. I think if you're going to want at least 6.5 inches to wear this watch comfortably, personally. That's not to say that the bracelet isn't a great, marrying with the head of the watch. It is. They work well together. They work quite well together. The bezel is one of the weaker parts of the watch. It has a couple of problems. One is the actual feel of it. I mean, there's a lot of backplay there. It feels when you're turning it, it does feel quite cheap. But again, for me as a non-dive person, although possibly in the future I would love to do it again, I would never use this bezel in the real world. I would never ever use it. That's not to say you wouldn't, but the bezel, I like having a good bezel action, of course I do, but if you're someone who doesn't actually go diving or use the timer, use the way you could time a dive on it, are you really bothered about the bezel being super perfect? I'm not. I will let them off that it's not. It's on the poorer side of Pagani's bezels. It's one of the worst ones I've used. It's got significant backplay. Obviously, your mileage may vary on your particular unit, but my feeling is that this bezel is a bit of a weak point. I also am not the biggest fan of it being all completely polished. If you see, even though there's no scratches yet, there will be scratches on this bezel very quickly. If you have a polished bezel, it's going to be a total and absolute scratch magnet. I have many G-Shock watches that have stainless steel bezels. My experience is on a stainless steel bezel, as a general rule, unless you're getting like a dress watch or like a Rolex dress watch or whatever, you don't want your bezels to be polished. Now, definitely it adds an extra dimension and makes it look more blingier and smarter in some regards. But it could also go the other way and make it look cheaper. But if you're going to go with a stainless steel bezel, you want a pattern on the bezel to make it not show up the scratches. But this doesn't have any pattern on it, hardly. It's smooth and it's polished. Now, that gives it a look of, it will pick up the light reflections very well, but it will also scratch like a, it will be a scratch magnet. So that, I'm just pointing that out there. If that's something you're going to be bothered about, this watch might not be for you. Just expect that you're going to get this scratched, in my opinion. The dial is a stronger point, definitely. The dial is very busy, there's no question about it, but it does the job, in my opinion. It does. You've got the 3 sub-dials, you've got the seconds ticking away there at the 6 o'clock. You've got this like tachymeter on the outside. You've got obviously the rotating bezel above it that you can use. And you've got this UGS logo that they're putting now on some of their, I think it's called the Upgrade Grand series, I think, or Upgrade Grand System, Upgrade Grand series, I think. It's just a Pagani marketing system, marketing brand thing that they're going with. The Pagani logo is good. The writing is good. They've not gone overboard on the writing because they've not got much room to fit anything. It does say Japan movement there, and I suppose that's not a lie because this has got the Seiko VK63 Mecaquartz inside of it. I think the colour of the green is an interesting one. I have not seen this colour of green on a well, I've not seen it on a watch before, not that I know of. It's a very interesting green. It's hard to describe actually. When I first looked at it, I thought it was like a forest green, but the more I look at it, it's more like it's got some type of a twinge, bluey twinge in it. Almost bordering on teal at times, but it's not a teal one, but it looks quite good. It does look quite good, and it is sunburst. It's not a matte for this maximum kind of sports kind of blingy look they've gone for. but I think it does actually work quite well on this watch. I think it does. The dial is solid and it is quite good. The alignment also is good. Everything does seem to align pretty well. So I think the dial is one of its stronger points. And definitely, it would be one of those watches on your wrist that, you know, if you was going out on a Saturday night and you were sat there with a drink in your hand and someone else is stood at the bar, they're going to catch a glimpse of that watch and think, whoa, that's an interesting one. It's definitely one of those types of watches, in my opinion, which would make it a good kind of going out semi-casual watch. The crystal is a domed sapphire. Now, I have been critical of domes on sapphires, well, domes on watches, and I believe firmly that if you're going to put a dome on a watch crystal, there should be some element of anti-reflective coating or something on it that prevents the extreme reflections that you can get because of the doming. This, to my knowledge, does not have any. Therefore, it is also a reflection magnet, and you can see here now how it's reflecting strongly. So that is one downside, the lack of IR coating to counter some of the reflections that you're going to get on this dome of sapphire. So for me, it's not the strongest part of the watch. The arguments, I believe, would be is that it would give a superior seal and improves the ability of the watch to withstand pressure by putting a dome on it as opposed to a flat crystal. But that comes with a downside, in my view. Also, this is not a significant dome. On some significant dome crystals, I'd be scared of catching the crystal against a door or whatever, or a table or something, and cracking the crystal. Although that would be very rare, it would be possible under some circumstances. Now, so to engage the chronograph function, there's no screw mechanism. You just click in, top button, and you can see there the chronograph hand, which is in red, which nicely contrasts with the green. To stop it, press it again. To reset, press the 4 o'clock button, and it resets. Works perfectly fine. That's working on this mechanical system because it's a Mecaquartz. So the chronograph function, if you're going to use it, is totally fine. The crown is also fine. It is a bigger crown. You can see it sticks out significantly, but that's because of the homage, in my opinion. But it is a fairly biggish crown, but screw down and it works adequately. I've mentioned about the case. The case is mildly curved, but it is a fatter case. You can see the curves on the lugs there. But it is a fatter case. Is it unnecessarily fat? Possibly. It would have been nice for this part to be about 1 millimetre thinner, this part, even if they're going to keep the overall thickness of the watch, because the head is quite heavy. The case back is a standard stainless steel laser etched case back with an image of an anchor and the PD-1705 with the water resistance on it. The case back is totally fine, no complaints there at all. Now let's talk about the bracelet, because the bracelet is going to be what attracts many people to this watch, because they're going to have said, well, I've never seen a bracelet like that and I've never used a bracelet before like that. Now I have seen this bracelet before because I do actually follow, even though I don't regularly buy any, but I do follow luxury watch brands just to see what's out there and see what is being produced. And I've seen this bracelet many years ago. And the bracelet, well, you could watch it on, there's various celebrities in TV shows like Sinfield and stuff that used to wear the luxury brand that had a similar bracelet to this. Now, this bracelet does have a couple of problems, but overall, it is a comfortable bracelet, okay? Now, interestingly, I didn't mention, but the outsides of the case are brushed, they're not polished, and the outside of the bracelet is also brushed, which I suppose tones it down a bit, but for some reason I keep thinking that it would look better with a polished outer. But I don't know what you think about that, but I think it possibly would look better. But definitely what they've not bothered to do, see these little bullets, they have these like connecting bits, these connecting links. It actually goes together really nice. But in my view, these connecting parts, they should be polished, or they should have something on them that separates them from the brushing, as the original does, basically, the one it's HOMAGES does. But they've not bothered to do it on here, possibly because of the cost and stuff. They want to keep it below 100 GBP, which I think it is. Yeah, it definitely is at the minute. It's below 100 GBP. In fact, it's a steal at the minute. The price is a steal. And there is an affiliate link down below if you want to pick it up. I make a bit of commission at no extra cost to you. But the bracelet overall is good. The main three problems, oh, and as well, it's a butterfly clasp, but it's a symmetrical one, meaning you can engage either side first and it will go together. It's not one of them asymmetric ones, which I absolutely hate, where you have to put one side in first to get it to engage. I don't like to lock it. It's actually one of the best butterflies I've ever used. The hardware does not aggravate my wrist. Now, normally on butterfly clasps, I find that they do aggravate my wrist, but on these they don't. There's two main problems with the bracelet. Number one is, oh, by the way, it's a pin system when you take out these pins. The problem is the adjustment is by that much. It's about 1 centimetre or so. So there's no half links that I can see. So I've actually kept all the links in. I took one out, then I've basically put it back in. Because I do wear it kind of loose, but I have got big wrists. So, and you've got arrows on how to take them out, which way to knock them out. But the problem is the adjustment is not good enough. We want finer adjustment. The clasp, obviously, I would prefer some kind of a deployant, although I know that the original has a similar butterfly. And in my opinion, I'm going to show you now. I'm going to put it on the wrist. In my opinion, I mean, that does look, it does look pretty good. It's definitely an unusual looking watch, but I think the bracelet definitely goes with the head of the watch. I think that it kind of tones it down a bit. The outer edges, nothing on the clasp is really aggravating me, which is excellent, because a lot of the time they will, but I believe that the outer edges of the bracelet could be slightly more rounded off. I think they're just a little bit sharp, a little bit, but you could easily file these down a little bit. Yeah, I mean, and it's by no means a deal breaker. I was wearing it all yesterday and it was fine. It's definitely a pretty watch, and it's definitely a pretty bracelet. It's not going to be for everyone. You know, I think the taper is correct on this as well. Having it thicker, having it wider, sorry, would add unnecessary weight. I suppose the closest bracelet for feel that I would suggest it's like is probably the Jubilee, probably. There's loads of points of articulation there, so it is a comfortable band. It definitely is. I do recommend you picking it up for that one reason alone, to have a feel about and have a play with the bracelet and to see what this type of watch band feels like on your wrist, because a lot of people will never have used that band before, because it is an unusual one. I don't know many watches other than the ones that I've mentioned that have it, basically. So yeah, so overall, it's a very good attempt. I think for like a, the as far as Chinese homages go, the ones that really try and imitate a lot of the design and features of the original, I think there's no other, to my knowledge, there's no other company out there that have homage to the same degree this watch design like Pagani have. And for that, for less than 100 GBP, I think you can get it for about 85, 90 quid. It's a steal. It's a steal. The specification, the sapphire, the fully solid stainless steel, the Rouleaux bullet bracelet, a nice clasp, the chronograph, the accuracy of the movement, which is going to be probably about 20 seconds a month because it's a quartz accuracy. So it's a lot of bang for buck. The green isn't going to be for everyone. If you can look past the bezel, which is the weakest point of the watch, in my opinion, which most people will never touch anyway after using, it is definitely the weakest point of the watch. If you can look past that, you can even get it with a black rubber band, which I think would look fantastic. It would contrast the head of the watch excellently and would probably increase the comfort as well because it reduces the weight. So, or even get both, get the bracelet and buy a band. So I think it's a good one, and I think it is worth your money. I think it's going to be one of them watches that you wear to get attention. It's not an under the radar watch or anything like that. It's in your face. It's blingy and it's in your face, but that's what the watch is designed to do. And one benefit I will say that it has against the original is that this watch is only 13.7 or 14 mil thick. The original, I believe, is over 15 millimeter thick and will be even heavier than this. And on the original, the bullets are even bigger and there's less of them. Now, I've never worn that watch because obviously I've not got thousands and thousands of pounds to blow on a watch, but and I wouldn't buy that watch if I had that type of money anyway. But so I don't completely know how that version would feel on the wrist compared to this, but I'm glad that it's not 15 mil thick because that would be too thick. This is just about the maximum thickness for this watch for it not to be too top heavy. Oh, the loom. The loom is, admittedly, yeah, it's okay. It's batons, it's very narrow hands and batons. You're never going to get amazing loom on that. The loom is poor to okay. You're not buying this watch for loom, let's be honest with you. It's got 100 meters of water resist to back it up. That's the nominal specs. Overall, as I've said, it's a decent effort. It's one of the best homages of this particular watch style that you'll ever get in the current market now. Sorry, not that you'll ever get because I can't predict the future. But there's no one else out there that have tried to homage this original watch as much as Pagani have. And for that, they deserve some credit because they've made a really good attempt at doing it. I think what they should do is they should improve this bezel. They should give us a flat crystal. Improve this bezel completely. Give us a flat crystal. Give us an option for a deployant clasp instead of this butterfly. And also give us a two-tone version, because I would go actually for maximum visual appeal, and I would actually go for the two-tone if they did it in it. I think that would look fantastic on this watch. It's been Dave. Thanks for checking my review out. There's affiliate links down below. I make a tiny bit of commission at no extra cost to you. There's loads more watches coming in. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.